Whenever Iran comes up in the news, the conversation almost always circles back to its government, its leaders, its policies. But what if that's only half the picture? Today, we're digging into a really fascinating analysis that comes from inside Iran. And it makes the case that to understand where the region is headed, you have to look past the politics and get to know the people.
So let's just jump right in with the big question, the one that's going to guide us through this entire breakdown. What do the Iranian people, in all their diversity and complexity, actually want? It's a simple question, but believe me, the answer is anything but.
And this quote right here, this is the core idea of the whole analysis. The author's point is powerful. Regimes can rise and fall, leaders come and go, but the deep-seated desires and motivations of millions of people, that's a much more constant and ultimately a much more powerful force. Okay, so to really get a grip on where Iran is today, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's go back to 1979 and the founding of the Islamic Republic. What exactly were the promises that got so many people to back a full-blown revolution? It's really interesting when you break it down like this. See, it wasn't just one thing that lit the fuse. First, you had this long, simmering resentment against foreign powers, the UK, Russia, the US, who had meddled in their country for decades. Then Khomeini comes along and offers this incredibly potent mix, a return to religious values, sure, but also promises of national power and wealth. And, this part's crucial, there was a huge cultural backlash against the Shah's push for secularism, especially his policies on the hijab, which a lot of people felt was a direct attack on their identity. All right, let's fast forward to today. After more than 40 decades, the results of that revolution have left Iran a deeply fractured, deeply divided nation. Think of this slide as the regime's report card. On one side, in the promises kept column, you've got national pride. They absolutely delivered on making Iran a strong, defiant player in the region. But on the other side, the promises of a booming economy and clean, effective government, well, according to the author, that's where things fell apart, creating this huge rift in society. And this quote from the source, wow, it just captures the raw emotion of that success, doesn't it? For a big chunk of the population, seeing their country finally stand up for itself on the world stage was incredibly empowering. It was a huge source of pride. But here's the thing, national pride doesn't pay the rent. The author points out that years of economic hardship and, frankly, systemic corruption just ate away at people's faith in the system. For so many, the government just wasn't delivering on the promise of a better life. So this is how the author, from their perspective on the ground, sees Iranian society today. And it's not a simple 50-50 split. They argue it's more like three distinct groups. You've got about 30% who are diehard supporters of the system, then another 30% who are diehard opposition, and then the biggest group, 40%, is in what they call the gray zone, people who are mostly just trying to get by, totally unengaged. But here's the key. That 30% of supporters has way more power than their numbers suggest because they are incredibly motivated and organized. Now, when you look at a split like that, you'd think there's absolutely no common ground, right? But this is where the analysis gets really interesting. It turns out there might be a powerful, unifying idea hiding just beneath the surface. Which leads to the obvious question, is this it? Is the nation just hopelessly split with no way to bridge the gap? Is there anything these different groups can agree on? And believe it or not, the answer is yes. The author makes the case that if you peel back all the layers of politics and religion, you find this one single ambition that connects almost everyone. And there it is. This is the big reveal of the entire analysis. Whether someone supports the government or opposes it, almost everyone in Iran shares this deep desire for their country to be powerful, to be respected, and to be a major force on the world stage. They don't want to be anyone's puppet. This slide right here is absolutely essential. It shows that the real fight in Iran isn't about the destination. Everyone wants a strong Iran. The fight is about the path to get there. The Islamic faction says the way to be strong is to be an anti-American power. The secular opposition says no, the way to be strong is to become a pro-American power. Same goal, two totally different roadmaps. So what does this all mean for the US and other Western countries? Well, the author finishes up with a very direct message, laying out what they see as a huge opportunity, but also a pretty serious threat. Just look at that number. The author estimates that 70% of Iranians, that's the opposition plus that big gray zone, actually want friendly relations with the West. That's a massive opening. But, and this is a really big but, this is the deal breaker. Any friendship,
any partnership has to be on equal terms. The Iranian people will simply never, ever accept a government that they see as weak or as a puppet for foreign powers. That history of colonialism we talked about runs way too deep.
So, to put it another way, if the people do push for major change, they won't be doing it to make Iran weaker. They'll be doing it because they want a more competent government, like a better management team, that can actually achieve that goal of national strength more effectively.
And this chart lays out the two paths the author sees for the West. The opportunity: side with the Iranian people's desire for a strong, competently run country. The threat: try to force a weak government on them. According to this analysis, that would be a disaster, sparking a massive backlash and a desire for revenge that could last for generations.
And that really is the final, crucial question this analysis leaves us with. That deep, unifying desire for a strong Iran is not going anywhere. The real question for the future is whether a new leader will come along who can channel that ambition into a partnership with the West, or one who will use it to rally the people against the West, setting the stage for even more conflict.